I do a lot of my work right here in my basement studio. At this workbench, I have all the tools and equipment that I need for sculpture and other forms of preparation.
And I still look back and remember that when I started, when I even chose to be a makeup artist, I had absolutely no inkling, no clue, no belief, hardly even any hope that I could become a makeup artist and do any of these things.
The whole history of the movie is it's the people in this room and the people that are working now. There are none more talented, few as talented, and none more decent.
I would call him in New York, and he would call back, and he would do research, and he would go to any lengths possible to help.
If you had a problem, you can call him up at home, and he would talk to you. You know, even if you hadn't met him, if you had an intelligent question to ask him, he was really open with information.
One thing Dick did kind of bring to light for me, that there was no rule book and just go for it, you know.
Every time I do a makeup, I think, how would Dick do this?
It truly is an honor to be in the presence of someone who has touched so many people in so many ways.
Dick has been able to spend so much of his time developing refining techniques and sharing that all with all of us. Your work over the years has inspired all of us.
It gave us the opportunity to finally work with you on a film.
You have created so many other people here.
And you always have a very, very special place in my heart.
He's like my second father.
I'm living this incredible dream come true. It's a never-ending joy.
Today we want to acknowledge your wonderful influence on young artists, your expert advice, and everything that you have given to artists today. I don't think there's a makeup man here. So many of them said to me, I learned so much from Dick, and so we really wanted today to tell you that, and also to let you know that we honor pay tribute to your kindness and your generosity of spirit.
I think in a way Dick was always waiting, probably, to share and to funnel his enthusiasm and the things he learned into the ears of a receptive person. And maybe I was one of the earlier ones.
You know, it was Dick's work more than anybody that really inspired me to get into this stuff, and he really set the standards that we all strive for, and his openness and with the techniques and formulas and everything. I mean, he's just really made makeup what it is today.
I got a call, like so many other people in the United States and Japan and England. May I speak to Kevin Haney, please? This is he. My name is Dick Smith, and I just got your letter. I've been on the deer hunter, and I just got back. And I must say that I'm very impressed. And as anyone else who has gotten that call knows, that's a tremendous moment. And what I feel very touched by is that I'm not alone. Not alone at all.
Dick's legacy extends beyond the work he himself has done and his inspiration to all of us in the work that we've all done. We have become Dick's legacy, and in a way, Dick is kind of like the godfather of an entire industry and has basically affected more lives, I think, than he will ever know.
Dick is one of the greatest of all time. Believe me, I've admired him. I knew of him, but now that I met him, I'm the happiest guy in the world.
Dick is really the benchmark, I think, of makeup artists, and that's really what I wanted to say. And from the time I was a kid and saw his stuff in Famous Monsters of Filmland magazine, I was stoked.
35 years ago, I was given one of my most precious
possessions, the head of Dorian Gray, which Dick had created for television. I point to the head that he gave me, and I said, it's the head of Florian Gray.
I want to thank you for something you did for me years ago. You don't even remember, I'm sure. It was at Rick Baker's house years ago. He drafted me to be a guinea pig for you. And you put a ball cap on it. And I mean, an incredible ball cap. And I didn't realize, but one of my favorite actors, when you got through with the ball cap, I ended up looking almost exactly like, and I ended up looking like Tor Johnson.
Talked about all the greats, and he's one of them in this field. This was not an easy achievement for makeup artists over the years. They scratched and crawled.
You have inspired what I do. And you've inspired all these other people who have inspired what I do.
Your generosity goes beyond makeup people. I'm not a makeup person. And you were incredibly helpful to me. You're really an inspiration to touch other people. I really hope I could learn from that in my own life. Thank you very much.
Everything I would come up with, I would run it by Dick, and he would say, well, but you didn't put that little thing in there. And I think, who is this guy? How can he be so exacting and so perfect with his technique? Coming from the scientific world into the makeup world, Dick is truly a scientist.
I spent a full day at his house in Larchmont, and he talked and told great stories, and we spent the whole day together. And one of the great things about Dick is that he's a terrific raconteur, and many of you who've been privileged to hear his stories about the old television days and everything. It's been a privilege and honor to know you in the capacity that I've had, and a great day.
Dear Dick, I'm so sorry that I am unable to attend your celebration. Please know how much I appreciate your extraordinary contributions to the art of special makeup effects. Everyone in the industry is indebted to you. Congratulations and best wishes. Sincerely, George Lucas.
He's an encyclopedia of makeup. I mean, he's going to leave a legacy that will prevail for all time. He was always helpful and answered questions, gave me a lot of input. And that was true through the years on a lot of other jobs. He had an interest in what everyone was doing. I think it was Little Big Man that really put him on the map. I worked as his assistant on that picture.
When I first started hearing about Dick Smith's name, it was always, people talked about him with such respect, and they'd learnt so much from him. And it just amazes me how free he's been with his skills and his talents and his experience teaching people how to do what we do. I mean, you can be born with so many skills and but experience comes from working with such great talented people.
I think Dick brought it all into the forefront, all this knowledge, and made it accessible so that when we were learning, we realized that actually if we wanted to find out or know about something, there was someone out there that could help us, and Dick did. That was one thing Dick always did. He made me realize that there's no limits to what you can do with makeup, and in the sense that there isn't just one material. There isn't, you don't have to stick to any one material to make any one effect, and there's no rules in that sense.
I was a great admirer of Dick's work, and I got to know him a lot better after I was a business rep, but he's a fantastic talent, and always has come up with things that were just over and above.
Because of him, it turns this whole phenomenon to the, this film, feels, and especially I think his meticulous notes. He doesn't hide. He shares the information to the other people, and that's made this field to such a ever developing. His generosity really did that.
Dick, with his brilliance of coming up with packs and some of the products that he's found over the years, encouraged the younger people to go on to investigate, to experiment, try things.
I think of him as the ultimate formula tweaker. He's never really satisfied with any product that you get off the shelf. He's always trying to improve it, and how can I make this spirit gum stickier? or how can I improve this? And he was never satisfied with how it came off the shelf, so he would add things or find out what was in them and make his own version of it. Always, you know, question authority, question, you know, what it is you're using, what's in this stuff, and don't just use it without not knowing anything about it.
I know I wouldn't be here today doing this kind of work if it, you know, it hadn't been for his work, and especially for his freedom with his techniques and talent and formulas. When I saw his work and how well he did it, how perfect his makeups were in that, I remember saying, God, I wonder if I could ever do anything like that one day. So he's been quite an inspiration for me.
He was working on packs, and he was working with colors, and he came in there and worked with us all and was showing us how to mix up the packs and get the colors right and everything. So it was really a nice experience meeting him and a technical aspect like that, where he was really bringing all this information to us. He was looking for somebody that had a lab out here on the West Coast for Death Becomes Her. And Kevin Haney was going to do the makeup on the show. And when he contacted me, I was really happy to, you know, let them use my lab.
We built puppets of Meryl Streep and Goldie Hawn, various puppets of Meryl Streep to convey the feeling of her head being twisted around on backwards, and also later in the film she gets hit in the head with a shovel by Goldie and gets her head knocked down into her body. So we had various different pieces to pull that off.
Our timing was perfect in that when Dick came by to look at our work, we were working on the android head, the animatronic version of Bishop, the character from Alien 3. So we were able to show a nice working model of an animatronic lip-sync head, which I think made enough of an impression on Dick that he recommended us. So it is nice to have Dick Smith's stamp of approval in a case like that.
Kevin Haney was my colleague and a swell protege. Was going to do the major, you know, makeup chores. I saw work that they had done and thought that they would be able to achieve a believable result with their devices. They did a terrific job.
Before Dick, makeup tended to be theatrical, stylized, I think, and that's with all deference to some beautiful work. And, you know, we have some elder statesmen who represent that marvelous tradition. Dick injected, I think, an extra degree of credibility and just, you were utterly convinced with what he did, whether it had a fantastic basis or certainly if it was supposed to reflect real age, real infirmity, you name it. And he was doing this for television, a product that at the time was felt to be ephemeral. I mean, things that were going to be seen once and never again. It didn't concern him because it was a vehicle for his form of expression, which was serious and motivated from, you know, the very core of his soul. And I mean, this passion.
One of the finest, if not the greatest, of all makeup artists. Believe me, I put him on par with Jack Pierce.
Jack Pierce, a little fellow from Greece. His real name was Piccolo. He came over and he was a jockey. Not only a jockey, he was also assistant director. I think the one studio he worked was Riddle. But the guy was creative. He had ambition.
I met Jack in the early 60s, and he was on a TV show, guesting on a show, and he had some stuff in a box. And one of the things was one of Lon Chaney Jr.'s faces from The Mummy's Curse that he had. And I was like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen, you know. And he just said, here, you want it? It's yours. You can have it. And that's one of the prized possessions in my collection right now. And still, that's 1945, and the thing is still in great shape.
I think I was the only makeup artist that was allowed in his makeup room. So I used to hold a dryer when he was doing the Wolfman, and he'd lay that whole beard on by hand and then singe it in order to give it the animal look. But Jack was one of the most loyal persons I ever met. He fought for everybody in the department. He was a genius when it came to makeup. He was always experimenting with things, not prosthetically. He did not like that, but he was a born artist to the face. But Frankenstein has never been achieved, has never been equal. because with Egyptian cotton, collodion spirit gum, and the fat top bald head was made out of a hat box, he created one of the best images of fright that I've ever seen.
Oh, God. Here's Jack Pierce. Oh. I didn't have the courage to go in and interview. Oh, he would have loved.
We walked into his house, and in the front area there was like some altered state sculptures, and there was like things, and I couldn't talk. I was so amazed. And I turned around, and Dick was behind the door, and he had Linda Blair's head from The Exorcist. Hey, you ever see this head? Put it right in front of me. It's like, God, this is so amazing. It's so exciting. I was so thrilled.
5 years ago, I was lucky enough to go to Dick's house in New York, and he graciously invited me in, and it was probably the most exciting thing that ever happened to me. We all kind of spent that time in the garage when we were kids, seeing movies and trying to make the stuff in the garage and feeling like that was what we wanted to do. And then we get here and hope to aspire to be as good or at least in the same company as Dick, and if we get to that point, we're very lucky.
There is a true appreciation for something that has substance and is imaginative and good. And when I met Kevin, first on Altered States, you could see it. Dick, obviously, having been our little flame of inspiration, had that knack. Just, this guy's going places, and I'd like to, both use his talents and help foster him.
Dick, here you sit or stand in sunny California, comfortably ensconced among many friends, admirers, and colleagues. Therefore, let me have it said to you and all present that I thank you for the wonderful time that I am having as a makeup artist and for your continued love, help, and friendship. I have a wonderful life, and I have you to thank for that happiness. I love and miss you. Carl Fullerton.
In Altered States, Bill Hurt is a scientist who has screwed around with his gene structure, and something weird is happening to his body. We put air bladders on his face and on his body underneath foam latex appliances so that we could actually have his face or body distort as we're watching.
Dear Dick, I'm sorry that I am unable to be with you on this well-deserved and auspicious occasion. All of our successes are due to inspiration, and no one is more inspirational than you. My congratulations and sincere admiration, your friend, Stan Winston.
I'm grateful for his generosity and support of all those other young makeup artists like Rick Baker. I remember corresponding with Rick when he was staying at Dick's, and he's obviously a tremendous influence, and I'm sorry I'm not there, and have fun at the party.
I have a particular personal association with these colleagues. I've known them many years. They are, I might say, disciples in a sense of my techniques. I feel that they're all geniuses that, can best kind of carry on my love of realism and makeup. In fact, they do better. They pass me by.
There's never going to be another Dick Smith.
Oh, come on.
No, there isn't. And, I don't deny that I'm pretty good at what I do, as all of us here are.
Pretty good.
And it's because of Dick Smith. His work, he set the standards.
I'm not denying that I've done many excellent things throughout my life, my career, and I've invented many things and I've made many contributions. I'm never denying the part that I played, and I'm very proud of that. And I'm very proud of the influence I've had.
What made Dick really unique in all this is as he said, the love for the craft. It wasn't just a job. It was kind of an obsession, and I think we all have that. We don't just do it to get the money or whatever. It's not just work. It's how we have fun. And we're obsessed with what we do.
I'm happy to see people of the younger generation, particularly my proteges and friends. I'm delighted to see them do such wonderful things.
I did makeup before I met Dick, and I kind of figured things out. I'm sure I probably would have still become a makeup artist, but I definitely would not have become the makeup artist that I am now. There's no doubt about it. I learned so much from Dick. There's so many things that he innovated.
You always sort of assemble your own aesthetic and your own skills subconsciously from people you've admired, and it becomes part of you, and you're sort of selectively regurgitating things. And I think of all of us, it's a hard thing to have to admit to. But sometimes you look at some of the things you think are most yours, and if you really critically take them apart, you say, oh, Christ, I think that's from Dick there. And come to think of it, so is that over there. The kind of rubber that is used, the kind of glues that are used, the kind of paint preparations that are used, they're all from this guy.
I think Craig mentioned that some people just say, well, this is the way Dick Smith does it. And some of that was prevalent at NBC. Well, he doesn't do it that way
That's
anymore.
right. It's not, yeah.
He's constantly changing. One of the most important things I ever learned from Dick was not, all the tremendous makeup experience that he had, but the fact that why do you do it this way? Why do you put liver spots on? Why do you sculpt a nasolabial like an S-curve? Just little details that were already in this man's mind. This man developed this stuff on his own.
There was a picture of an old woman, and this was such a magnificent makeup, and it had so completely transformed this woman that I'd look at this, I'd stare at it, and I'd say, but it can't be makeup.
It's the NBC opera Peak Dame.
Okay.
Or also called Queen of Spades. And it was a mask that I made out of just slipped rubber before I knew how to use foam latex.
This gorgeous, crepey, fat woman with this, and then you see right next to it, the author has put the lady, who wasn't a young woman, in typical 50s little tight hairstyle, and Dick had taken this raw material and turned her into this overweight old crone. It was just amazing. And the Vaughn Taylor also in there. It was just gorgeous.
That was a hot melt.
And talking about technical things, he made this out of a material that it shouldn't have worked at all. This makeup spoke to you. I mean, you looked at this guy and you thought, this is a man beaten down by life. There's something kind of seedy and sort of defeated about this old guy.
Monster things that he did for the Way Out series, he did this leprous Quasimodo makeup that I thought was great, and the Man Who Lost His Face was an amazing thing. And when you look at it, I mean, what I was so impressed by, it was this guy who had his face wiped out, this big patch on his face that was perfectly flat, and he had this horrified expression on the other side, which, looking at it, I swore was the man, and somehow he put this white flat thing on him, and then I realized through the course of the article that it was a sculpture, and just the artistry, the fact that he had this expression that was so horrifying and it looked so much like a real face.
What impressed me was the Monster Makeup Handbook, because here was a guy using oatmeal, gelatin, nose putty, and it still looked great.
The highlight and shadow kind of thing we did on a guy's face, and he had a cheekbone painted with a highlight and shadow. And I used to stare at that and go, I can't believe that that's not a dimensional thing, that's just paint. I mean, I was so enthralled by that for the longest time.
House of Dark Shadows, the movie version, when I saw that old age makeup on Barnabas Collins, I remember that really impressed me a lot. And then it was probably Exorcist that really, when I thought, this is amazing, and I should start trying to do this. And that's when, right after that, I started playing around with the big stuff.
My favorite professional makeup is the Father Merrin makeup on Max von Sydow, because it totally fooled me. I mean, I think Dick was the first to say, well, what did you think of the old age makeup on Father Merrin? And I was like, what do you mean? And that to me is still a benchmark for old age makeup.
For Exorcist, which is, I didn't know who Max von Sydow is. So when I saw the movie, I was just an old man, and the people told me afterwards, well, that was a young guy. What?
It was a real landmark for makeup effects. I mean, it was the beginnings of a lot of the wacky makeup effects stuff that we do today.
He knew how to make a person's throat, balloon out like hers does in that. He thought of how to make lettering rise up on her skin out of nowhere. Not some guy scratching his head, otherwise, but him. And the absolutely believable head rotating and the steam out of the mouth. And he collaborated in some respects. But I mean, the driving engine for a lot of these illusions in that film was Dick Smith.
Of all my films, I think the one that is that I would recommend to people who haven't seen my work is The Exorcist, because it has good examples of aging makeup, of demonic makeup, shall we say, or character. And also, it's really virtually the first film with special makeup effects of the true definition of that, meaning that something changed, something happened to the person's face that changed while the camera was rolling.
I would choose Amadeus because I know that even though there are no effects in it, the old Salieri makeup is a makeup that works 100% of the time, and it lends so much. It was some of the most flexible foam that Dick had ever done. It's on screen all the time, and
close,
there's no compromise, and it enhances the film in every way.
I knew when I was up against Dick Smith for Amadeus. I was only there for dessert.
My favorite film is Amadeus because it's the kind of makeup I most enjoy doing. It's the believable character makeup, and it's a wonderful vehicle because it's a great film. The actor is great. He brought that makeup to life as no one else could. I think it's the reason that I got the Academy Award. This has probably been one of the happiest experiences in my life. I mean, to be surrounded by friends and colleagues like this, and to have such kind and generous feelings expressed are the best thing that can happen to one.
I remember something from Mark Twain tonight. Twain talks about all the wonderful letters full of praise and compliment and affection that he's received on his 70th birthday. And he says something like this: praise is well, compliment is well, but affection is the best and final and most precious reward that any man can win, whether for character or achievement. I'm very grateful to have that reward. Thank you.
What really makes me happy now is to see something like this, and that, you know, and now, I mean, Dick is, you know, is put in a position where I had him however many years ago.
What more can I say except to echo these sentiments and just say that Dick's carved his little niche in makeup history, and it's a very deep one and a very wide one.
I don't think any future generation is going to be as lucky as we were. I don't think this can happen again. It's a golden era.
I'm just thankful that I was born at a time that Dick Smith was alive.
No one will be as lucky as I've been. I've had it all.
It's been something I will never forget. I love you all, and thank you so much for coming. All right, here we go. Get your hip bones up. How's the rib cage this morning?
Minus a couple.
Oh, you're a healthy mummy again now, I think. That'll do.
Oh, I feel better.
Yeah. All right, let's see the other side. Yeah. If you need a little bit more hair, use that woolly crimp stuff on top, and then a little spray glue to pack it all in.
Dick, am I ready to be custom?
Yeah. Beg your pardon? Yeah, you get into costume.
Okay.
Right. Well, we've got to do a little more paint job on it. Yes. Here, it's getting a little shiny.
I love these people. They're just terrific people who love makeup just as much as I love makeup. And that gives us a particular close bond.
Maybe we should get a life.